trees, cows, and pasture. These components go together in a research project at the Animal Science Department at the University of Arkansas. In this project, happy cows graze orchard grass in a multi-tree species agroforestry system. Leader for this research project is Dr. Tom Sauer, a scientist with the USDA National Laboratory in Ames, Iowa.
Our research at this site has to do with bioenergy and climate change. We're interested in using agroforestry systems with their perennial vegetation to look at the accumulation of carbon in biomass. And this is biomass that could be used as a resource, a feedstock for bioenergy production.
Oak and pecan trees were planted more than 15 years ago, while sycamore, cottonwood, and pine trees were planted more recently. This year, cows grazed for the first time among oak and pecan trees. Orchard grass, a perennial cool season grass, was planted in fall of 2015 to provide nutritious forage for the animals. This forage was chosen for its reputation of growing in shady environments and having very good nutritive value. In between the blocks of trees, native grasses were established to have buffer zones that serve as habitat for wildlife species and filter runoff should it occur during heavy rains on the sloped landscape. In August, Dr. Sauer and his crew came from Iowa to measure tree growth and take samples of leaves and branches. Data will be analyzed for weight and other components to model tree development.
Ideally, we'll then be able to predict the growth of all the trees and the annual accumulation of carbon as that relates to climate change and carbon sequestration. Also, we're quite interested in how the trees affect the local microclimate, because if we have a warming climate, the trees provide shade, they may provide a more suitable microclimate for forage species growing in their shade.
In an agroforestry system, components of agronomy and forestry are combined to establish a land use form that results in a multitude of ecosystem service, all within the Fayetteville city limits. Dr. Dirk Phillip, a collaborator from the University of Arkansas Animal Science Department, is responsible for the forage component of the project.
The beauty of that agroforestry system here is apparently when you look around you see the cattle graze, and among the trees that has certain benefits for the animals. They can spend grazing under shade or in shaded areas. That does not mean like in the hot summers here in Arkansas they get elevated body temperatures. That might be the case out in the open area, and that they graze forages such as the orchard grass that has been shown to be very well doing in those orchards. That's where actually the name is coming from.
In Arkansas, the climate permits the establishment of multi-component land use forms that yield benefits beyond wood, crops, and animal products. Many small animal species find their habitat here with benefits for animals higher up in the food chain. Among the things that will be investigated are nutrient cycling effects and soil quality improvements over time.
How this benefits the growers and producers is that we're going to be able to provide information about the sort of multi-use approach of agroforestry, where if you have a site that perhaps is droughty, your forage is struggling, maybe introducing trees, you give up a little bit of land area, but perhaps you can actually increase your production and diversify your production by the microclimate created by these trees. So you might be able to produce wood or other tree products, or if there's a market for biomass feedstock in your location, you may be able to tap into the bioenergy market.
To keep the system stable, older trees will be replaced with younger ones and pastures maintained for long-term benefits for the animals. In the meantime, you may find cows happily rummaging through the forage among the trees.